best decision. And hey, if you're going to make the best decision, hats off to you.
Now, that was interesting. Yeah, informative.
So, what do we do now, Ombudsman?
Hello again, everyone. Welcome to What Hat Do You Wear Part 2. I'm Brent Bateman, your friendly neighborhood Ombudsman. If you watched Part 1 of this video, you remember that we talked about the 3 hats that local government officials wear. They have a legislative role, an administrative role, and a quasi-judicial role. The legislative role makes the law, an administrative role applies the law, and a quasi-judicial role interprets the law. Well, today in Part 2, we want to explain how to apply these concepts to the real-life work of local government. So, we've come here to City Hall to talk about planning commissions. But wait, put away that remote control. Even if you are not a planning commissioner, this information is for you. It's meant for council persons and mayors and city staff and property owners and developers. Knowing the planning commission's role and how it relates to the 3 hats will help us clarify the whole land use process for everyone. Also, let's set our quasi-judicial hat aside for now. The local quasi-judicial role belongs to your local appeal authority. That's another subject entirely, and it will require a video of its own, coming soon. Quickly, let's review. A legislative decision makes law. An administrative decision applies the law. A legislative decision could be a zoning change, an ordinance amendment, or a general plan amendment. An administrative decision applies the zoning to an application, like an application for a conditional use permit, subdivision approval, or building permit. A legislative decision can only be made by the legislative body, the city council. An administrative decision is made by whomever the city council appoints. So, knowing this, what is the Planning Commission's role? Is it legislative? Is it administrative? What exactly is the Planning Commission supposed to do? The Planning Commission's first and most important job is revealed in the name. It's called the Planning Commission. Its job is to plan, to make a plan for land use in the community that reflects what the community wants to be. Welcome to Planning Commission meeting, folks. We're all very fortunate to serve our beautiful town of St. Vernal, Utah, and we're here to make a plan. So, what's our plan? What do we want our community to be?
I think we should have a mix of uses in town. Some commercial is fine by the highway if we must, but I will only agree to farms and large lots over by Vamoose Creek.
We've got to keep the industrial areas over by Migraine Canyon.
And what should we do in Cramped Hollow? I think a golf course.
Can we zone for a KFC right next to my house? I'm hungry a lot.
Thank you. Great plan. You guys are all kooks. Utah law states that the Planning Commission's duty is to make a general plan or amendments to a general plan and recommend that plan or amendments to the City Council. That plan is the Commission's recommendation for what the community should be. That is an ongoing process, and it takes work, and it takes time, and it takes care. We have other videos that talk about the general plan and how to make a good one. For now, we need to know that this duty to plan represents one part of a Planning Commission's legislative role. The Planning Commission is helping to make the law. Now, the Planning Commission's next role, after planning, is to make recommendations to the City Council regarding zoning and land use ordinance changes. This is also a legislative role. Zoning decisions and amending the code make the law. The Planning Commission's job is to discuss, consider, draft, and recommend to the Council land use regulations and amendments. Okay, welcome to Planning Commission meeting. Today, folks, we have an application from a Mr. Howard Widowmaker. who would like to change the zoning on his property. He would like to change the use from an ice cream shop to an outdoor shooting range.
And that will require a zoning change from the CF Commercial Fun Zone to the CD Commercial Death Zone.
Do we really want that outdoor shooting range there? That property's address is on Kids Play on the Road Avenue.
I knew we would regret naming it that. Well, let's hear what the public has to say. They always make sense.
Sound familiar? Well, that's the legislative process. Discussing, considering, and drafting land use regulations is, like planning, so important that the local legislative body, the city council or the county commission, cannot by law adopt or amend a land use regulation without first receiving a recommendation from the planning commission. And also, like planning, this is an ongoing process. It is a constant effort to refine a city code, to always make it better, clearer, easier, and compliant with the ever-changing state law. If this is done correctly, the Planning Commission should spend most of its time on these legislative roles. Refining and changing the plan and ordinances, even for the smallest towns, is a process that cannot be neglected. And finally, the Planning Commission's role may be to make administrative decisions. Administrative decisions do not change the law, but they apply it to individual land use applications, such as a conditional use application or a subdivision approval. The Planning Commission has this role only if the City Council has appointed it to them. Staff can also fill this role. It is up to the legislative body to decide what works best in your own area. Okay, folks, our last item on the agenda today. We have an application from our old friend Cletus McPoodleface, who would like a conditional use permit to open a commercial dog kennel.
That's in the middle of the RO zone, the residential oversleeper zone. Dogs are noisy. I don't like dogs. I say we deny. What does the ordinance say?
It says commercial dog kennels are allowed in that zone.
Shall we hear from the public on this one?
No way, Jose.
Then I move we approve with conditions. Like measures to keep the noise down?
And the smell.
That's it? Really? Phew! Nice job, you guys. This administrative role is very important, but it is not a core role of the Planning Commission. Nothing in the state code gives the administrative role to the Planning Commission. However, if that role is given in the local code, it must be done promptly and diligently and in careful accordance with the law. So, that's the Planning Commission. Their role is to 1, create and recommend changes to the general plan. 2, create and recommend changes to ordinances. And 3, handle assigned administrative matters if delegated to do so by the local code. Well, I hope this clarifies what your Planning Commission should be doing, their intended role, and how they should spend their time. In my opinion, the best run cities focus on these roles, and they tie together. A good plan leads to good ordinances, and good ordinances lead to easy and correctly made administrative decisions. And as in all aspects of life, if we focus on what matters most, everything falls into place. Are you still here? It's over. Well, I might as well tell you about our next video, What Hat Do You Wear Part 3, the public. Stay tuned. Now go. Get to work. Go. Faithfully conduct the public's business. Go.